So the big thing is recognizing our own strengths and weaknesses and the limits we have, as well as the cultures we're trying to get into. So let's say you do want to do business, right? I know how, like, most of the time, if you were to Google this, you're going to be like, what can autistic people be? And like, you might get answers like, go into coding, go into engineering, go into these like really highly technical degrees. And that's not necessarily the answer for all of us, because we have so many different skill sets and disabilities and abilities and various other comorbidities and things that are related to our interests that have nothing to do with computers, right? So let's say business is your interest and you're like, I actually really like running businesses. I like being a manager. I like doing something important. These are the things I'd like to involve myself with. If you were to come to me as like a coach and I'm working with you on this, one of the things I'm going to ask you is, okay, tell me any work history you have. What were the problems? Can you identify those? Do you understand certain strengths and weaknesses you have in terms of like when things go wrong? Give me some examples of when things go wrong so I can work on patterning that. Even through your perception, I can begin to understand where things may have gone wrong. From that, we can work on those particular skills and figure out what kind of environment is going to be the least hostile to your traits. Now, these may be certain types of jobs. For example, let's say you have no idea what you want to do and you're just looking for options. You could go and say, all right, there are options in things like computers and coding and stuff like that. But there's also a lot of maintenance career fields, and there's a lot of blue collar work, and there's a lot of various types of jobs that are not customer facing that may be great for people. There may be jobs that are great for one autistic that are absolute nightmares for another. I know a lot of autistics are very number autistics who love accounting and like forensic accounting. I know an autistic person who is a forensic accountant. They make like bank every single month because that is what they are good at, and they have very limited social skills, but that is what they do, and they have a fantastic life because of it. They are good at that. But that is a very specific skill set, and not all of us who are autistic are even good with numbers, right? So with that, we have to understand that certain types of jobs are going to have differing aspects, even within the same field. So let's say you like business work and you want to do business. Well, an American firm is going to have a very different social profile than a German firm. And so you might find that if you are in America and you're autistic, you may find working in the international business to actually be far more suitable to you, because working with something like Japanese culture baselines or German cultural baselines or any of the Nordic countries, if you work with them, you may find that this actually matches your sense of bluntness with kindness. Because for a lot of American autistics, our culture pushes a very charismatic, almost narcissistic approach towards what leadership looks like, whereas that is not the case in all foreign countries. There are some that push this, but very much not to the level that America does. So you may find that international business is something that you are better with, or that you like engaging in international business because of the fact that they give you training on what other cultures expect socially. So you're learning social rules for these things, and you're given a lot of grace and leeway in ways that you wouldn't when you are expected to be of that culture and adapt so quickly. So there are certain benefits. Even if you are a more social person and you like being in business, you may find that something like international business works better for you. You may find that being an entrepreneur and running your own schedule, even if it means you have to be a jack of all trades, running your own business is much better than working for an established institution. You may find that you really like the startup phase of working with a company. And for me, I have done a lot of my work where I've been paid to help startups do their thing. But for me, it's startup nonprofits, right? So very often I'm helping startup nonprofits build their baseline. And so I work with a lot of folks who are trying to build churches and nonprofits and community-based organizations and various forms of charity. That's what I work with. And so for me, I love doing that because the startup phase is my favorite, right? As such, I help them get to a point, and then I launch the baby off, and as they have to actually manage it themselves, That's the part I don't want to do. I'm not a manager. I am a person who can help you with the startup point. So knowing your own limits. I am not a person who wants to help you manage something unless I'm managing a crisis, which I very much love institutional transformation and elements of handling kind of crisis situations. I'm very good at that. So for me, I go into those situations and very often can help an organization figure out interpersonally and culturally what the heck just happened, or manage a crisis that somebody was found out to be doing something inappropriate, or somebody was, skimming off the top, or something has happened and now everyone's in an uproar. And I can help them sort that out and begin putting pieces back together. But once they're starting to launch off again, they need to go do their own thing. I've just empowered the people there to do that. Same thing with me in coaching. I like working with people who come to me with a pile of mess in front of me, and I get to make a pattern out of it and help them move on to wherever they want to be in their lives. That, for me, is my ability to use my autistic traits and my ADHD traits especially, and use that in a way that helps people go forward, but also knows that I'm going to burn out if I was going to try and work the 9 to 5, if I was going to try and be in some kind of corporate job. Because in a corporate job, my energy is too chaotic. I know that my energy destabilizes organizations because I want to change things. I want to help change things. So when we're looking at this, some autistics, they're not like that. They are very orderly. They do their jobs. They sign their checks. They do the things. They get it done. And they just need to not be constantly micromanaged. Some of us need a higher level of stimulation. Some of us need vastly different things. So with this, a lot of it really is about figuring out what flavor do you have as a person? What limits do you have? What interests do you have? And creating a picture of that to know that even if you were like, I am this experienced and I am a C-level executive, let's say I'm the chief financial officer. Like, let's say that's the kind of flavor of autistic you are. And you're the CFO and that is what you do. And that is a space you really want to occupy. You still are going to be looking at organizations and corporations that are going to match the kinds of demands that match what you want best, right? You are looking to match this to your sustainability plot. Because you know that if you are overplaying it, if you are overmasking, if you are creating a show razzle-dazzle 'em, you're going to burn out. That's not sustainable. That's not a career. That's you pretending to shove yourself into something that doesn't fit you and ultimately is going to end up causing a cycle of burnout or damaging you. Now, it is possible for us to exist in these systems, but we do have to recognize that the system is dysfunctional. And very often, especially in America, these systems prioritize abusive, exploitative, and narcissistic people, right? So we're going to have bad experiences. We're going to think that a corporation is a good option for us and find out that it absolutely has shit culture. So there are going to be places that are bad, and we're going to have to acknowledge that as part of the process and be able to do what we can to get support, shake it off, and move forward, which is hard for us because we hate change a lot of times, right? For ourselves, at least. I love managing chaos for other people, hate it for myself, right? So we all are part of our own baselines of need, wants, and desire. And so a lot of this is figuring out where you actually want to go and seeing what you can do to find the best fit for you.